I've been sitting here for like 5 solid minutes waiting for that helicopter to go away. I think this is probably as good as it's gonna get, so I'll just try to be extra loud. It's 4 o'clock now. I'm up here in Laurel Canyon. I've been hanging out with Bo for most of the day. Last night, an article was published that featured an interview with Niantic CEO John Hanke, and he revealed some things about the future of Pokemon GO that I think you'll probably find pretty interesting. The article starts by going through the rough start of the game, stuff we already know about server issues and how they resolved that, but then goes on to continue to talk about what's coming next. So I'm going to read you some direct quotes here from John Hanke. Regarding the game, it has far surpassed our expectations in just turning everybody onto the potential for games that break out of the screen. But the priority for Pokemon GO now is to build in those things that reward cooperative gameplay and make experiences available that offer more depth than just the capturing mechanic. Hanke says that some new features will be launched soon in an abbreviated form, with Niantic still working on more complete versions. The article says these include monster trading and player versus player battles. These are on the way, says Hanke, who adds that if the servers hadn't been so sketchy at launch, at least one of them would already be out there. Likewise, a gym battle system, supplementing what he feels is a rudimentary version of the game they envisioned. It's going to be done soon, he says. Try not to fall to my death right now. So there it is. Hanke says Niantic is working on trading and PvP, and that one of them, I'm assuming probably trading, was, would have been in the game by now if they hadn't had so many issues at launch. We always knew trading was going to be a part of the game, and the last time Hanke talked about PvP, he said that it's something that might make it onto their roadmap eventually. So this interview, this article, is confirmation that it has made it onto their roadmap, that they are working on it, and that we should have that, eventually. Interestingly, he also calls the current battle system rudimentary and says that they're working to improve that and expand on it. That likely means adding things like status effects and moves that increase or decrease your stats during a battle, but hopefully also includes a rework of the gym system to include more than just tapping and swiping. So don't lose hope, there is definitely more coming to Pokemon GO's battle system in the future. Regarding trading, a lot of people are worried that trading might be easily abused by people with multiple accounts or by botters or spoofers. Even bullies was one concern that was brought up on Reddit. So I just want to go over my idea for how trading should work. This is something I've talked about previously on the channel, but with this new news, I feel like it's probably good to talk about it again. Obviously, one of the biggest concerns with trading is safety. You don't want to build a system that's going to encourage people to meet with strangers face-to-face because, you know how that could go. My idea for trading involves sort of a system where players are able to offer up Pokemon for trade and also search for other Pokemon that are being offered. Now, in order for trading not to completely break the game, it has to be done not face-to-face, but within a small radius of the person you're trading with. If you could trade globally, you could trade for all the region exclusives without ever having to meet someone who's traveled or who's from that region, and that would essentially just ruin region exclusives. They wouldn't be exclusive anymore if everyone around the world could get them with no problem. So my system works like this. A player is able to offer a trade. Create a trade, let's say they have a Charizard. They can put it up as an offer and make a list of Pokemon, or maybe just one Pokemon that they want in return for that Charizard. Then, any other players within, we'll say 100-meter radius of that player can go into the trading system, look for current offers in their area, and scroll through a list of everyone who's offering trades within 100 meters of their current location. They'll see that Charizard, see that the player wants a Blastoise in return, and they can offer up their Blastoise. The other player can then choose to accept or reject the trade, and you can do all that without ever knowing someone, without ever meeting face-to-face, without having to plan things ahead of time. That way it doesn't lock out players who don't have a social group to play with, who don't know anyone who plays the game, but they can still participate in trading without having to coordinate things with people. That system still does allow you to coordinate things with people online. Let's say there's plenty of you who have a perfect IV Sandslash with Mudshot and Earthquake that I know I want. We can plan to meet up ahead of time. Then when we meet in person, or at least get to 100 meters of each other, you can set up the trade with the Sandslash. I can go into the nearby trades list, find your Sandslash, and offer something in return, and we can trade. So a system like that would allow you to both trade if you don't know anyone, and set up trades beforehand so you can get exactly what you're looking for. Now, the other big concern with trading is that it's going to allow people with multiple accounts to really benefit. They can catch the same perfect IV Pokemon multiple times and trade it over to their main account and just stockpile a ton of perfect IV Alakazams or Dragonites or whatever. And while I don't know exactly how to combat that, I do know that every wild Pokemon has an identifier that is unique to that specific Pokemon. And it's possible that Niantic could limit you to only having one of that Pokemon. So, if two people catch the same Chansey spawn, you can't trade that same Chansey to an account that already has it. It could say something like, you already own that Pokemon, which might be confusing for some people because, well, you can trade sometimes if you own a Chansey, but not other times. But it is, just off the top of my head, one potential way to stop people with multiple accounts from abusing a trading system. And obviously there are concerns with spoofers going to locations and getting rare Pokemon, strong Pokemon, and then trading them for profit, which is definitely a potential issue. So maybe there's going to be some kind of limit on trading. Hopefully it doesn't cost anything. Hopefully you don't have to spend coins on an item that's going to allow you to trade with people. But putting a limit on it would really prevent people from benefiting too much from exploiting the system. Regardless, I'm sure Niantic has thought a lot about it, and hopefully this rudimentary or first stage trading system that comes out soon will have a lot of protections in place to prevent abuse of the system. Hanke also goes on within the article to talk about the tracker and basically confirms what I've been saying for a while, that the original tracker with footsteps, well, that it's never coming back. Also, check this out. The rain knocked this wall down. One final note that I want to touch on. Hanke also says, my heart is really with events, and that's something I really want us to try to solve in 2017. It's complicated, though, to do them at the scale that Pokémon GO demands, but to me, that would be the best demonstration of the vision of this company, which is all about people playing games together, outside, with other people. So, events, we know that Niantic wants to hold events for the legendary Pokemon. We know that from the trailer, and also from things that they've said about the game in the past. So that's why, when the Gen 2 hype was really ripe, when we were talking about Gen 2, a lot of people thought that maybe they were going to release legendaries. A lot of people said, why would they release Gen 2 when they haven't released first gen legendaries yet? And I always try to remind people that they want to hold events for legendaries because these are special Pokemon. These are typically one-off Pokemon in the Pokemon universe. There aren't multiples of this species. And Niantic has held events for their other game, Ingress, in the past, and continue to do so now. But to hold those types of events at, like Hanke says, the scale that Pokemon GO demands, it requires a lot of planning. There will be, most likely, hundreds of thousands of people coming to these events. We know that 100,000 people came to Ishinomaki during that 2-week period for the Lapras event. Imagine when they announce the first legendary Pokemon event, how many people are actually going to go there for that event. So that requires a lot of planning, a lot of permits, a lot of organization with whatever host city or area they're going to use for that event. So it's a pretty big deal, but Hanke says that's one of Niantic's main focuses for 2017. So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see the first legendary Pokemon events in Pokemon GO. And who knows, those events might not even be legendary Pokemon events, because there is a concern that some people can't travel to those events, and as such would never have a way of getting the legendary Pokemon. So, all we know is that Niantic is trying to figure out how to make events work in Pokemon GO. Well, welcome to 6 o'clock at night. We are at Plumber Park in Hollywood. We've been here before. It was a Squirtle nest at the time. Pikachu now, so I guess the plan is just catch a couple Pikachu. Get some kilometers in because I'm 16 candies away from Togetic. 16 times 2.5. Quick, what is it? 40. 30 to 40? I was second guessing myself because I didn't think I could do the math that quickly. Anyway, let's catch some Pikachu. Let's get some candies. Tomorrow we need to go on a very long walk.
Yes.
Well, I accidentally hatched that egg while I was setting up the camera. It's a 666 Geodude. I'll take that. What else do we have? I really can't get away from them. They didn't say that the regular pink Pokemon would have increased chances of hatching from eggs. They did say that Cleffa, Igglybuff, and Smoochum would be hatching at increased rates. But I've hatched a Lickitung, which obviously you guys know didn't happen for 6 months, and a pair of Slowpokes back to back. I mean, not back to back, but like within the last 2 days. So I think pink Pokemon might be hatching at increased rates too. And there's an Oddish. And check this out. Coughing right ahead. Cassie already caught it. Let's take a couple steps that way. With that coughing catch, I have enough candies to evolve my second ever Weezing, so that's cool. Pretty sure I have one with good IVs ready to go also. Alright, we did 1 lap, and well, I have a very long drive ahead in traffic, so hopefully that means we'll be going slow enough. This is probably the only time I've ever kind of looked forward to traffic. If we go slow enough, I'll be able to pick up some distance with Togepi. And then tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And we're going to take a very long, romantic walk on the beach or something.
Yeah.
That Pikachu just ran from me. That's like half the Pikachus I've encountered at this park just now have run from me. Anyway, here we go. Traffic coming up. You'll probably enjoy it a little more than I will.